Dave Rennie has gone and named his first Wallabies squad. It's a 44-man squad, so it's a pretty big one. And I believe there's still room for two potential overseas guys to join the squad, with the Aussies having tweaked the Ghetto law recently. But yeah, I'll have a look at the squad, see how it's made up, and talk a little bit about, I guess, some of the standout features and potentially some of the key omissions, and you guys can let me know your thoughts as well. It's interesting seeing as these guys have named their squad, the All Blacks have named their squad, so it's going to be one to watch. Hopefully international rugby is not too far away. Props, they've gone with Ainsley, Ala Alatoa, Bell, Fa'amusili, Harry Johnson-Holmes, Sio Slipper, and Tupou. So the guys who I've put a red asterisk by, like Angus Bell and Pone Fa'amusili, these guys are your debutants. And I mean, guys like Ainsley and Harry Johnson-Holmes don't have a whole lot of caps to their name either. So I think overall the feeling of this squad is relatively light on experience, relatively young. It's not a bad thing. It might mean a bit of a fresh start for Rennie and his guys. Bell, I think, definitely one for the future. He's showed up a couple of times. I think, remember, one game initially, he was up against Tupou and he was just getting absolutely manhandled. But certainly around the park, very useful, and his scrummaging game will only get better as he gets more experience. Fa'amusili is a mad guy to watch. Like, if there's any guys you watch in terms of props that you really want to watch, like, not many guys, some of you, favorite players are prop. You know, we ask kids and it's always like they like the first fives and wingers and stuff. But Fa'amusili is just pure gold to watch, man. When that guy gets the ball, he just runs straight into whoever the nearest opposition player is, which is fun. Sio, I don't think's quite been up to his normal standards in terms of his scrummaging game. The Brumbies haven't been the best. A lot of the other guys have been solid without being spectacular. Tupou has probably been having maybe a career season because he is really coming into his own. Slipper's had a bit of a good resurgence. Harry Johnson-Holmes, since converting to tight head, it's good that he can cover both. Has made himself a bit more useful to Dave Rennie as well. So you have to be pretty satisfied, but as I said, not hugely experienced. Hookers, you got Fainga, Horton, Paenga, Amosa, and Uelisi. So Horton's your only debutant there. He's maybe a bit of a bolter, I think. There's probably other guys, I don't know, but Uelisi, I haven't actually checked up the injury status because there's a few of these guys. Uelisi picked up an injury, actually. Let me just double check, see if there's any news out about that before I go on. Right, I just checked the guys who were doubtful on the list and no updates yet. Uelisi is a guy who's going to have a scan because he picked up an injury in the last game. He's had horrendous luck with injuries, but is a solid player, but can't get a run of games together without getting injured, so it's kind of hard to know where he's at. Paenga Mosa was kind of flavour of the month for a little bit under Checker when they played, I think, Ireland. He got like 4 caps. He's been solid. Fainga with that Brumbies pack has been pretty good as well. And like I mentioned, Horton is kind of your bolter. But again, none of those guys have got a huge number of caps. So it's an area, you know, when you lost the likes of Stephen Moore and Polata now, you lost quite a lot of caps in terms of the hooker jersey. Locks, you got Simmons, Hannigan, Hosea, Phillip, and Salakai Loto. Hannigan and Salakai Loto can kind of double as loose forwards if needs be as well. Phillip's been having a pretty bloody good year with the Rebels. Very dynamic lock. Almost like that kind of loose forward lock mold. But yeah, Simmons is your only guy with 100 caps. The most experienced guy in the squad. A bit of a maligned guy at the TARS, but I think he's been alright. I thought he had a pretty good Super Rugby AU season. And Hosea is your uncapped guy, pretty young, and seems to have bags of potential. So maybe don't expect him to get any game time initially, but hopefully being in the squad will give Dave Rennie a chance to kind of give him some guidance and whatnot. Lucy's, you got Hooper, Swinton, Valtini, Wright, McCrate, Samu, and Wilson. I mean, apart from Hooper, you're pretty light on caps there as well. Hooper, I think, has got like 96. Swinton, McCrate, and Wilson. Uncapped, I think Liam Wright's got 1. Samu's got a handful. Valtini, I think, has 1. Single digits anyway, so it's a really, really inexperienced, loose forward makeup. But man, these guys are talented. Harry Wilson has been in phenomenal form, absolutely magic ball carrier, very, very dynamic. Liam Wright has just been getting turnovers and tackles for fun. I'm kind of keen to compare his stats with Hooper's, actually, because I know he often plays 6, but they kind of play similar roles: tackles, turnovers. Hooper's maybe a more dynamic runner because he's pretty quick. Valtini's another guy who struggled with injuries but seems to be having a pretty good run, and we kind of can see where he's at. He's definitely more of your traditional number 6, maybe. I think he can flirt with 8 as well. But big ball carrier. Samu's got great hands. So it's a good mix. And McCrate, as part of that, that Reds back row, has been in good form, I think, especially the last few weeks as well. Really kind of upped his game. I didn't think he was quite at the Wallabies level yet, but he's really kicked it up a notch. And likewise, Swinton's been having a pretty good year, hence the call-up. They are blessed with depth in Australia in terms of the loose. A lot of countries are actually pretty good with the loosies, but yeah, you just have to say it's pretty fresh in terms of age and caps. 4 scrum halves, you got Gordon, McDermott, Powell, and White. I think McDermott, as the only uncapped guy, is maybe the front runner in terms of form. He's just such a live wire player. Nick White's your experienced guy. Powell, I think, and Gordon have got a cap or 2 between them. Not many anyway. Single digits again. Gordon, I used to think was kind of the next big thing, but don't know if he's hit his ceiling or if he's still got a bit of development to go. He's still a live wire, but I think I'd be picking McDermott ahead of him if that was me. But then again, we'll leave that to Dave Rennie because he's much smarter than me, that's for sure. Powell, I feel like maybe the 4th cab off the rank. I don't know. We'll see, because he can't always guarantee a spot in that Brumbies lineup at the moment with Lonergan and White as well. So, yeah, it's been tough. The 10 jersey is going to be interesting. You got Harrison and Lolosio, your 2 uncapped guys, plus James O'Connor and Matt Tamua. Personally, I like Tamua at 12, but he's been pretty good at 10 in recent weeks as well. He's another guy who's under a bit of an injury cloud. I think we're still awaiting a scan. O'Connor can pretty much play half the back line, but has really stepped up at 10. Lolosio, prior to his injury, was playing phenomenally well, and Harrison has been excellent, man. Radar boot and just very good young player. So, tough questions. I would probably say O'Connor's your front runner, just based on experience. Are you going to really chuck Lolosio or Harrison in the deep end? Maybe not, but having them in the squad is certainly good to get them some experience. That being said, if you're good enough, you're old enough. So we'll see. And your midfielders outside backs, you got Ikitau, Paisami, Pataya, Simone, Hodge, Dalgunu, Korobidi, Ram, Wright, Banks, Dane Halapeti, and Maddox. Dane Halapeti is another one who's under a bit of an injury scan. Cloud, I think Pataya had a bit of a knock in his game. The last game with the Reds against the Rebels. Again, you'll notice a lot of red asterisks. Ikitau, I think, is a bit of a bolter, but he looks like he's got potential. Dave Rennie obviously sees something with him. Paisami's been in solid form for the Reds. Again, maybe a little bit of a bolter, because there's been other guys who have been pretty solid. Simone, I think, is the least kind of bolter of the lot, because I think he's maybe been in the best form of all of them, and his call-up, I think, is just genuinely deserved. Pataya has been a handful when he's been playing, so kind of no surprises that he's there. Very dynamic ball carrier. Hodge, that guy can literally play every spot in the back line apart from 9. I think I haven't seen him play 9. Cannon boot on him. Not that slow, but a little bit slow to accelerate. I think his pace is a bit deceptive, so he was always going to be in the squad. Dalgunu was probably a pretty good guy to call up, because if they didn't call him up, you feel like Fiji would have called him up. Dalgunu's been in top form, so you can imagine Dalgunu and Korobidi on the wings could be pretty dangerous. Ram, if you'd asked me at the start of the season, would he get a Wallabies spot, I probably would have laughed. But, man, he's been in good form, to be fair. Tom Wright, likewise, has been dangerous. Banks has maybe been hitting his straps the last couple of weeks. He's one of the more incumbent guys, even though even he doesn't have a heck of a lot of caps. And Maddox is another guy who's been kind of wing and fullback. Still not a complete game defensively. But, yeah, man, big squad. And they've said the squad is big because they won't be able to just call up, guys to join in if there's injuries. You've got to have a big squad to account for injuries, which are going to be, which are going to come at some point. And like I said, maybe there's 2 more guys potentially from overseas who might get called up. So that makes 13 Brumbies, 11 Tarzan Reds, 9 Rebels, and interestingly, none from overseas yet, and none from the Western Force. Bit of a middle finger to the guys from the Western Force for mine. Some of the guys who've been excluded, Tavita Kurandrani, he's just not been in good form. That's just plain to see. He lost his spot at the Brumbies for a couple of weeks. He's just not been in good form. I think that's fair. McInerney, I think, was in the Players of National Interest framework for a while. Likewise, Caden Neville. Issy Naisarani is probably a bit of a massive call. But they've just got so many number 8s. You got Wilson. You got Samu. Can you really justify calling up 3 8s? I don't know. I mean, some of these guys are probably, like Samu, I think, can play 6. But yeah, he's just victims of the fact they've got heaps of depth there. Kyle Godwin, I think, was in the Pony Players of National Interest framework for a little bit. Likewise, Bryn Stunder. But yeah, I think for me, it's Lee Warner. Fergus Lee Warner. I thought he was in phenomenal form for the Force. How the hell's he not made it? Lock loose forward. You got Ned Hannigan there. I might have to do a stats breakdown of Ned Hannigan and Fergus Lee Warner. I know a lot of the stats you see in the videos I do, just because they're based on the ones that are available, they don't record stuff that doesn't happen. Well, they only record stuff that happens on the ball, and Eddie Jones has talked about this as well. A lot of the stuff that these guys do, maybe more than 90% of the stuff they do is without the ball. All the cleanouts and whatnot, like tackling is on the ball action, carries, run meters, all that stuff is on the ball stuff. Unless Hannigan's working his butt off, I feel like Lee Warner would kick his stats into next week, but maybe that's a video for me to do at some point. But yeah, there's a fair few guys who can feel lucky, a fair few guys that do hard done by. But yeah, like I mentioned, Dave Rennie is a pretty smart guy. So if he sees something there, we'll go with that. But I do feel for some of the guys who missed out. Lee Warner would be... Come on, man, got to give one Force guy a run. I thought he would. I don't even think he made the Players of the National Interest lineup. I think Godwin was the other favourite to make it. But yeah, as I mentioned, large squad. Tamua, Ulysses, Daniel Petty all got scans to have, so we may see things shift up if that news comes out. Nothing I've seen as yet. I think some of the guys from the Reds took knocks as well. I think these guys are going to assemble after the final of Super Rugby Australia. So I think next week, Monday. We'll see how they go. You guys let me know what you reckon. Who do you think's lucky? Who do you think's been a bit hard done by? 16 new caps out of 44 is a sizable amount. And as I mentioned, tons of these guys are in single-digit numbers for the amount of caps they have. There's only one guy with 3 digits, and that's Rob Simmons. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts. Talk to you again soon. See you later.